Welcome to the fourth video of part 2 of this tutorial. In this tutorial we will see how to download CMIP data for a single model ensemble, like if you have multiple realization of this model. So basically, like in the previous video we showed two examples, like here we're gonna do example, third example of downloading data for a single model example, and the learning objective from this example is to learn function in Python. Okay, and then I will show some links. So let's go here, see like the data for it gets the data that we want to download. So we can search by variable. We go for ZOS, that is sea surface height above JOID. So we go here and then let's do the experiment. Let's see historical 1950. Okay, this one, and now we can. Okay, so here we have like 50 of them, source ID. Let's select like which one we want to do. Okay, let's do this one maybe, which has like a 6 ensemble member, 6 like real 6. Like if we search it for this one, we can have more details about see what this one is. So yeah, so it's like 6 realization, R1 here, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, and the total number of files is 65. So this means that the data will be stored year by year, because this historical experiment is from 1950 to 2014. So if we list the file here as we expect, yeah, this file is for 1950, 1951, 1952, so on and so forth. Okay. So here, like let's do this with Python. So what we did in this like in this example here, we showed that like how can you loop for like a different years. Then here, like this, we give a more general example is like how can you loop for different years and different months, and then with not like year by year, like if you want to loop over a 5-year period, a 10-year period, a 20-year period. Here we will show how to make a function like this, like how to define like this function, and like by this function you just pass to it the variables that you are interested in, and you will like run this function, like it has this template for like downloads that you need for more general case. So for example, in this experiment, this one that we were looking for here, this like high resolution data, what will differ here, like so if we look here, let's do it here for example, like let's do this example, we add here a new code. So let's see what will differ here, what will be this is the name, but like we are also interested, this is the file name, we are interested in the directory which is here, because now like not only the file name will it change, but also the directory name. So we have here the directory name, and this is the file name, and what will it change from one realization to another would be this is the ensemble member, and there is other part. So this is like the directory. Okay, again this is directory. This is a modeling group, and this is the name of the model. This is the experiment. This is a realization. This is the table ID. This is your variable name. And if you remember from the previous video, there's something called the version here. Which version you're interested in. So how can we find like this version information? And this version information, it will differ from one realization to another, because this version basically refers to when they like stored or uploaded this data. So that could differ from one realization to another. So to check out the version of this one, you have to get it from here. So like we can, this is like, can get this from here. I mean, we can remove this one because all this information will be here already. So if we go here, this is the node where this data is stored. This is like the directory. So here, this is the node here. Okay. This is a directory. And here it has a version number. Okay. And this is a file. Okay. So what will it be changing here again is like this one, the realization and the version. So we need to get like this version for like the other like realization, other file. Like we only get it for one realization, and we need to, we can hide this. We can do for like this is, we can do this for realization number 2. We click here. Oops, there is, you see here, like sometimes it you can that, no, that looks okay. So that looks okay. So we go here. This for the second one, like the second realization. And you see this would be the same until here. That should be the same until here. Like, see, the version here is different. So that was up, like that simulation was like uploaded or like at a different time. So we can like create, like we can say like versions, for example, and we can make a list for the different versions. We can put like our first version is here. Okay, so you can put the first version here. You can put the second version here, for example. And we can, another list, we can call it like the member ID. So we know that this version belongs to the first realizations. We can put here, okay, and we know that this version belongs to the second realization. Okay, we can put it here. All this other information is like the same. We can do this for, I mean, let's do it for another one. So we like right here, let's see, list files, like you can get any of them. The version shouldn't be different for all of them. So copy this here. Okay. Okay, so this is the versions that we are interested in. Put the version here. Oops. And then this is for this realization here. Okay. So here, like you get like this is so the realization number 1. This is the version of this realization. Realization number 2. Realization number 3. Okay, let's go here. So here I put like I will just show you the example. Like this code will be available on GitHub, and you can get it and for practice. So let's see what. So here, this is the source ID. This is like the name of the model that I'm interested in. So this is this name of the model. This is the experiment. It's historical 1950, and here I put the member ID and the version. Okay, and this is we know that like this data is year by year, so we put like the year step here is one monthly flag. Remember we from the previous experiment, the monthly flag, this means that whether it has sub months or just like the full year, like from January to December, or it has sub months, so it's like flag like it is this one, it is this case. And here, this is I'm displaying flags. This is like if I want to display some outputs or not. This is just flag for display. And basically, I just like this is a function. Like this function is similar to what we did in this previous exercise, except it like has few other extra things that I will talk about now. So basically, what you do here, like for these three realization, you pass like this information to this download function. So basically I pass the source ID, the experiment ID, the member ID, the version, like all so and so here. I pass it to this function, and this function is the same. Like, so here is like download from, this is the node, which I showed like it is the node information where it is, so the node information, which is like this part of the file until here. Okay, so that's the node information, the directory, and here in the directory, this is the CMIP era, the activity, the modeling group. That should be the same. Like here, I am passing like the name of the model. I could also make this unknown, like I could make this the modeling group, and here still like this is called like group ID, I think. Well, this one is called institution ID. Yeah. Can also put like an institution ID, and then that would be like in new variables that I'm passing here, so I can start by. This would even make it more general. So here, and I define the institution ID. So it's better to make this consistent. So here, okay. So I pass here. This is the experiment ID, member ID. So the institution ID, which is this one. I put here like the institution ID, and I have to pass it like this need like to be in the same order as like what's written here. So here's the institution ID that would be also like, and like the variable name, it need to be one worded, cannot be. So the institution ID would be also like a variable. So basically here in the directory, like it will tell him, take the institution ID, take the model, take the experiment, and take the member ID, like which ensemble member and which version. And here, this is like for loop. This will loop through these two lists, like it will loop from the member ID and version. So this member ID and member IDs. So like here, like this is the member IDs, and this is the versions. Here versions, and this one member IDs. So like you have like these two lists that we created. It will loop through these two lists, and again, like how to loop through two lists, you use the zip. So like zip member ID in member IDs and version in version. So basically it will take this member ID, it will pass it here, it will take this version, it will pass it here. So now this would be like for my first ensemble members. Download, again, where I'm downloading these two, like this is the source ID and the experiment, and I want to create this path if it doesn't exist. And here is the same again, like when like the file, now the file name, I will pass the same things to it. And this, like I've shown this in the previous code, like which year to start from, which year to end with, which months to start from, and which months to end with. And this is like my download. I'm oops, there's a syntax error somewhere here. And the member directory, so probably I did something not correct here. Let's see, this is high resolution MIP. Let's see, so okay, it is here. Okay, yeah. So that should be one word. Okay. So this is like display flag, basically like in case I don't want to display everything on the screen, I just say, okay, if it is, let's say like we can like display everything on the screen. I'm not downloading it, so I'm disabling, like I'm commenting this part because I don't want to download this file. I just want to show that this loop file, like this function work, and I will get like the file names that I'm interested in. So let's run this and see. Okay, I have line number 4. Which one is this? Yeah, it's institution ID. I have something is not working here, and maybe I also need to do this one. Okay, do this one again. Okay, so let's run. Okay, invalid syntax. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, it's institution ID. It needs to be fixed also. Okay, let's run. Okay, so am I getting what I want? Like, so this is like for a period of like 2 years, and for like these 3 ensemble members. So this is, yes, so this is exactly what I wanted to. So the first ensemble member, I have like, this is the year 1990 and 1991. And then you go to the second ensemble member, it does 1990 and 1991, and the third ensemble member 1990 and 1991. So you can do this, like you can hear your time period, you can add like any time period. So basically, like this function, this is like a general template. Like what you pass to this function is that you pass the institution ID, you pass the source ID, you pass the experiment ID, the members ID and version, like this is the one that you want to loop to. And like what year step do you want, what months flag do you want, and what this play flag do you want. So if you want, like if I want to change to I want to change to any of these other model, remember there were like 50 of them, like any of these 50 of them, I just have to replace this information, like put the different institution ID, put the different source of ID, put a different experiment, like let's say, for example, let's see, institution source ID is the name of the model. Let's say I want to do this one, which is had 8 realization of them. So yeah, for this 8 realization, I had to change, like, so that would be the new institution IDs, that would be the new model ID. It's the same experiment and different realization number. And like what will it change here is like for each realization, I need to get the version. So basically like this information will be the same here. Like this will be from 1 to 8. So this will extend all the, like be something like want to add this extend all the way to 8, and for each one I need to get the version, and let's see how this data is stored. So this data is 65 again, so I don't need to change. So the year step is 1. If it is stored like every 5 years, then the year step would be like 5, so, and so on and so forth. So now here, like in this example, you've learned how to like create a function and how to pass like a different variable to this function and process. But if we are like, if we looked here, like for example, if we are just considering this experiment, we just considering like this experiment, like the historical 1950, how many model do we have? So we have, like you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so many of them, like more than 20 of them. So if you wanna, and so if you want to do this for the 20 model, like you have to do it 20 times, and that would be like for each one, like you have to create one of these function and pass. So it will be like you have to create like these list and passes. So it's like kind of tedious to do it for like the 20 of them one by one. So in the next video, I will show you like a workflow, like the workflow that I use to process like multiple model, like to download the data of multiple model. And this workflow is not only like would be useful for downloading the data, but for like if I want to further process this data, because like later on I'll be processing this data. Like if you have like 20, so I think we has like more than 30 models that I will be using with 80 realization. So so I will show you like a workflow of how to handle like multiple model. Okay, so that would be like and so that would be in this here, like this is cheat sheet like for Linux, for Python. So in the next video, like this video, I cover like a single model and some like multiple realization of one model. And the next video I'll show like workflow for multiple model. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.